you today?
I'm okay. I've been kind of having a hard time
Yeah.
in general, just kind of overall.
So last time we met, we talked a little bit about your family, and about how, uh, just how you relate to them, and we got to get to know each other a little bit. So what's going on this week?
Well, I know like last week we talked a lot about like my family and how I was raised and like how I understand like who I am because of like a lot of what's been like happened in my family and just like recently I know we also talked about like the breakup that I've been going through and how it's just been like really really hard and it's like been kicking up a lot of stuff and like I just don't know who I am like outside of this relationship. And I know like last time we talked about my family and like how I'm like a daughter and all these things, but like I don't know. I continue to not know. And so it's not that I don't know, it's just like I feel like I only know bad parts about me. Like this breakup has just made me feel like worthless and just unlovable and like I don't know, like I'm just scared and like nervous all the time and like I'm just uncomfortable. So it's just that's what's been going on. So it's like hard because I know I don't want to live like this, but I just don't know really know how to see myself outside of like being with him.
So you say stuff. So this brings up all kinds of stuff. Um, Stuff from from recently. Tell me more about what you mean by
Well, I think recently, like I think like we had been kind of like spiraling down into like this breakup. So like I think it brought up just like me trying to do the best I could for him and like prove that like I'm a good partner. And so it like brought up like the most recent. It brought up that like I was just felt like I was just trying to put on this like show that like no, you should be with me. Like no one's better for you than I am. And I just felt like really desperate, but then I also felt like in bigger ways, like kind of like a failure. Like I just see my mom and like she's never been able to really like bounce back from like the bad relationships that she's experienced. And so she's just like alone. And I think that like I have this idea that she just never was like successful in relationships. So I just don't see her like even if she does like good at her job or like is a good person, like first there's something about her that like I just don't think she's as successful as if she were to be in a loving lasting relationship. And so I think it like brings up a lot of stuff of me like judging her, which then makes me judge myself because then I feel bad about talking to her or thinking about her like that. But then I also like can't get over the fact that like I feel like a failure
that.
completely, and it almost affirms how I feel about her because the things that I thought about her now I am feeling. So the main things really are just like this idea of being a failure, but also like this idea of like being a failure because I tried so hard at the end of our relationship to do the best I could, and it didn't feel like it was enough.
So you talk about your mom, um, essentially having failing relationships. Did you ever see a time where she was sort of in a healthy relationship?
Well, it's funny because like most of her relationships are healthy. And I just think that because they're not intimate relationships, that's the only reason why I don't think they're successful. But like I've never seen her in an intimate relationship. Like my father and her split before I was, able to remember those memories. But I think that I continue to brand them as like not as important. Like her relationship with like her kids or her coworkers or like her parents, like those are all great relationships. But because she doesn't have relationships that are intimate, then those relationships are not as important. Or like she's not a successful daughter or worker because I don't see her as a successful lover. So like interesting that you asked that question because I would say she's in lots of healthy relationships. I just don't value those relationships.
Mm-hmm. So do you see that lack of relationship? Do you kind of put that on her as far as like becoming a part of her, who she is? Um, and how is that different than those other healthy relationships that she has? Are those, do you see those as separate than her?
I see, now that I'm talking about it, I see that the healthy relationships, I am more comfortable seeing my mom being a part of that. Um, and I think those are parts of her character that like she's able to have those healthy relationships. But I think that's what's nervous is that I think that it's part of her character not to have love and not to be intimate. And so I think it's a yes on both accounts. Like I see those characteristics of being able to be a good friend and a good mother in those healthy relationships, but then I see almost like a lacking of character in the intimate relationships. Like she's not a good, and it's not that she's not good, it's just that like it feels like something that she didn't do. Like she didn't make it a priority, or she didn't try hard enough, or she didn't like want to risk those hurt feelings. So it's like, yeah, I do kind of see it a part of her character. But I don't know. It makes me feel uncomfortable to say that.
Right. Um, so the way that we relate to um, people is specific to each person that we relate to, right? Is Do you see your relationship with her as part of her character as well? The way that she relates to you.
Yeah.
Um, so sometimes when we think about things in one context, it becomes, it becomes a characteristic, rather than balling it up in that situation and saying that this is who she is in that situation and in relation to love relationships. Because would you say that that's different than how she is with you in your relationship with her?
Yeah.
So going from there, if her love relationships are different than your mother-daughter relationships, those are actually issues within context, right? And so while we bring ourselves to that situation, there's also these other factors that are in that situation. How does how does your how does your family look at the way that your mom either raised you or raised you without an intimate partner? Do you know how others view that?
I mean, I think that they are like very proud of her. I think that's like the first thing that kind of comes to mind is because I think she's always been labeled as like a single mother. And so that like they see her as like being strong and being able to like care for us like as an individual. So like I definitely, that's the first thing that pops to mind. But I mean, I know that my grandma wishes that she had a partner, and I think some of it is because that's how my grandma understands success too. Is that like you get married and you have a partner and you're a wife and you have like wifely duties, and I think that it's a little bit selfish on my grandma's end because that's like what a picture perfect idea is. But then I think at the same time, like I think she wants my mom to have a partner to care for her and love for her. So I think it's a little bit of like we share some ideas about my mother, but I think that we also have very different ideas. Like I think they've accepted that like maybe my mom doesn't want a part, like other than my grandma, like her siblings. I think they've almost accepted and like embraced the idea of her being a single individual because I think they see her so much happier as an individual than she was in those relationships. Which is interesting for me because I never thought about that. Like maybe she's happy outside of these relationships. So I think it's a lot of acceptance and like being proud of her because she's overcome so much. And I think a lot of her overcoming was to stop those bad relationships. I don't have a hard time seeing them as bad because I just, I don't know, I have this like value about relationships. Like I just think that relationships provide so much for you. So why would you ever not want to be in one?
So it sounds like that's a value that's actually been passed down through your family. So your grandmother values that.
Yeah.
You know, your mother.
Yeah.
You know, she had a husband and
Yeah.
had her children.
Yeah.
And then it passes down to you. You seem to be experiencing distress over the loss of your relationship, and not just grieving over the loss of that relationship, but what that means to you as an individual, what that means for you as an individual. Was there a time in your relationships, even not this one, other relationships, where you felt like you were in a healthy relationship? Where you felt like you were in a love relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in the beginning, all my relationships start out like that. Like I feel like in the beginning, it's very loving and like I feel like we're kind of on the same page and contributing the same amount. But then it gets like super towards the end, it's always like imbalance, and I think that they tend to end because I go a little crazy. Like I give and give and give, and I don't feel like I'm receiving, but yet I like still want this relationship. And so it's like I give and then I want it back, but then I'm so desperate that I don't think that like I can really make logical decisions. I'm just like trying to hold on to something, but I also am trying to like have some autonomy because I feel that like emptiness inside me that like I'm just giving and giving. So in the beginning, absolutely, like they're very loving, but I think that sometimes like I get taken advantage of, or I don't have clear boundaries, or I have like my understanding of self is contingent on them.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, yeah, loving is very, very true, and I it just doesn't seem to last very long.
So that um, that progress towards the end, that transition towards the end, if you kind of had to put a title on it per se, or like a phrase on it, what would you call that?
Crazy.
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 Okay.
Like I feel irrational. I feel crazy. I feel like desperate, but like crazy. It's like kind of like I know better,
Okay.
but I can't stop it. It's like that.
Okay. And so how would you do the same thing? How would you put a title on the beginning part of that? Relationships where you feel like things are okay and you're on the same page.
I think probably like balance. Like I think that is really what it makes me crazy is like when it's like I feel all the weight on my shoulders and they're just like getting, cooked meals and massages and, rides and whatever they like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just doing this. So
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think in the beginning we're contributing the same
Mm-hmm.
and it's balanced.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm getting back. Because it's not like I never like give. It's just I don't want to only be giving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I feel crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I feel crazy because it's like, how come you don't love me when I'm the one giving everything?
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like crazy making,
Right.
So the imbalance. So it's, balance is, when it's good, I feel balanced.
Okay. Have you been in more than one relationship where you felt this balance and then maybe a progression into crazy per se?
Well, I mean, I think my younger days, it never got to that point where it was like serious enough.
Okay.
So it was more like fun and we were like, doing fun stuff. So I don't know if it was balanced, but it was like that idea of like, I was only caring as much as that person cared.
Okay.
But then I think overall in like my adult life, I've probably had like one relationship where it was mostly balanced and just towards the end, just like life and like just different circumstances kind of like brought us apart. But I think this last relationship, it was mostly, I think I felt mostly the crazy. And like I think it was balanced in the very beginning, but I think it was so quick and so heavy and so, I just wanted it so much that I didn't care. Like, I wasn't trying to slow it down or make it balance. I just wanted to be around that person all the time. And I think that he made me feel like I was like important and he's like jokester, life of the party. So like when I was around him, I felt like it validated me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I didn't care if it was imbalanced because I felt like I was getting something.
Mm-hmm.
And so this last relationship, it was very little balance and way more crazy.
So what do you think it means when you are able to work through these relationships where you go from balance and it ends, less than perfectly, but you're still willing to try again in another relationship? What do you think that says about you? What do you think that means?
I mean, I think that I have, like, some of it is I have these ideas of like success, but I think that is just like when I start to like get really obsessed and think a lot about it, I start to like kind of go that direction where I think that like I enter in these relationships because I just want to like be a wife and I just want to be a mom and I just want to have kids, but like I don't think that's really true. Like I think I enter in these relationships because I just want to care for someone and I want to be cared for and I also want to like multiply that and have children and care for them. And I also think that like I just enjoy like celebrating people's lives and like I enjoy like I know I have an ability to care for people and that's what gets me back in these relationships. I just don't know how much or how little to care for them. And so I think it's really that what motivates me is that like I want to love people and I want to be loved. I just don't, that balance, I just don't get it. And so because I have these strong emotions, which I think are also what brings me back into these relationships, is that I love to love and I love to do and I want to do these things. I don't know when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about that time when things are imbalanced, and we call that crazy. Call that crazy time or craziness.
Yeah.
What does your relationships look like without that?
Well, it's hard for me, but I think like some of my best friends that I've had for a while who have like been able to stick around, like they have kind of like I feel like I've been able to take healthy risks with them. So like if a friend wants me to do something and I don't really want to do it, like sometimes I'll say yes, but then the friends that like I think really care about me, I call back and say I cannot do it.
Uh-huh.
So it's like kind of speaking up for myself, but I feel like I tend to do that with friends that have been around a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how to do that with new people in my life. So like saying no, I think that tends to help me be in balance because I think that's what gets me in the trouble is when I say yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So no is like a really big one for me. I tend to feel better about myself or like less crazy when I can say no and really mean it. And I think it makes my yeses make more sense too. And then I also think like when I'm taking care of myself first, that's when I'm more in balance. Like, if I'm hungry and then I feed them first, that doesn't even make sense. Like I need to eat first too, or at least with you. Mm-hmm. So it's like just kind of checking like, okay, are my needs met? And then I can meet their needs. Because I think I do a lot of like all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that like it's just not really realistic or fair for me to just, think about them constantly, not about myself. So when I think a little bit about myself, it's easier and and it's simple. I'm not hungry. I'm not tired. I have energy because I drink water. It's like those things, they seem silly, but they get fully away from me in relationships. Mm-hmm. I don't take care of myself. So when I think there is a connection between taking care of myself and my needs and then the happiness that I experience in my outside relationships.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably true of, just about everybody. I I think that human relationships are complex,
Yeah.
you know. So it sounds like um, you're you're a caring person, that you seek balance, and that in times of craziness, when you do have that aspect in your life, um, you're not as balanced. You're not able to maintain that balance between your yeses and your nos, your healthy risks and your just go for it. Um, and you're able to also gauge in those balanced times who are your trusted allies. So those are in good times. Good times are good times, and we also know that rough times come. So if you know that in general you have a caring nature, and that you know how to take healthy risks, and you know who your trusted friends are, what can you do when craziness enters the room, um, to help mitigate that? Because that's going to happen. Craziness enters the room. That's what happens sometimes. How can you go about maybe using what you already do to help balance that?
Well, I think like when the craziness enters, I get super desperate and I get like start almost panicking. And so it's almost like I have to answer right now, or I have to do something right now, or like if I don't follow through, then all this craziness is gonna erupt. So I think like if I were to just like pause or like take a break or like walk away or like call the person back, I think that would help, because I think that's really what gets me in trouble, is like feeling like everything's time sensitive, like God has to happen now, or like he's gonna leave me now, so I have to say sorry now, or like he's going to get mad at me, so I have to, do something. And it's like I think if I were to just realize that like I have more time, I think that would be really helpful, because I do have more time. I just, for some reason, I just forget. And then like I think if not only do I have more time, but like I have the right to like pause and like take a break, and like I need some space, because I think that's also my instinct, is like I need to like pull in and like grab onto something and usually grab onto someone, and like if I had the ability to like just do that by myself, I would be able to do it from within and bring it out, rather than trying to grab at the other person. Because I think that's hard for me too, is like when the craziness happens and I want to like be with him and snuggle with him and hold him, and like he doesn't want to touch me. And so then it makes me feel like, okay, I'm crazy. I'm not, like, I'm the one who's the problem, and all these bad things happen because like he just wants space and I don't know how to have space of my own. So if I knew how to do that, then I wouldn't have all these other like negative thoughts that come from him being like, no, I don't want to touch you after we just had a huge blowout fight. So it's, pausing, trying to take some space, and like just, I don't know, overall comfortable in a little bit of time where I'm alone. But, yeah.
So it sounds like when craziness comes in, you kind of internalize that.
Yeah,
You internalize that imbalance.
Yeah.
That comes with that crazy.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like you could potentially work towards slowing down and saying, there's something here that's causing imbalance. Is that crazy? Entering the room. So when you say slow down, what do you mean? For real?
Well, I think sometimes it's like as simple as like counting to 10, or breathing, or like saying I need a bathroom break and going to the bathroom, like, or like I try to, like, I've been told and other times, like, sometimes prayer can help. So like asking, like, because I sound to me like I'm uncomfortable with asking for help,
Mm-hmm.
but like oftentimes I need it. So like if I can just slow down and say, like, even in my head, like, okay, I need some help, or like, can something help me, then that it like pulls me out of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I mean by slowing down. Like, I get consumed by the presence that I can't make any rational thoughts. I just like am just in that moment, in my emotions, in the feelings, and I don't feel good about myself, and I just like really um, feel pressured.
Mm-hmm.
And I think slowing down would just be like just reminding myself it's okay, and like just trying to like breathe. Really, I think that is really what it is about. Like really slowing down, like my body. So I think that's what I mean.
So when you're feeling these feelings that you're talking about, and you feel this pressure, is it a pressure to not feel these feelings, or is it a pressure to get past these feelings so that you don't feel like crazy has taken you over?
It's probably a little bit of both, but it's probably mostly not feeling it.
Okay, so urgency to like get it
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
get
Because
it
I
out
think
of
I'm
there.
mostly fearful that I don't want them to feel it.
Uh-huh.
Because like if
Okay.
I don't want him to be angry. I don't want him to be upset. I don't want him to have any reason in his head to want to break up with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I want it to go away.
Mm-hmm. So you want it to go away, but you also feel the need to slow down. Um, do you think that maybe it might be beneficial to slow down, but in a manner that doesn't urge it to go away, but gives you an opportunity to be with those feelings and to either validate or excuse away those feelings? Um, would that maybe help guide crazy back out of the room?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think sometimes like when I don't pause, or when I don't like feel the feelings, like I don't realize that like maybe it's okay to feel those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think sometimes I feel like when he's really mean to me, like I shouldn't be upset, and I shouldn't like you know feel sad about it. Like I should just get over it. But like he said some mean stuff to me, you know, and like especially around the time when we broke up, like he said some really messed up things about me and to me, and it's like I just wanted to get past it. Like I just wanted to be like this good girlfriend and like be his friend and like do all these things that like would make it look like it was okay. But like I think that like it wasn't okay, and like I think when I slow down I get to realize that like I get to be upset, and like I get to be mad at him, and like it's almost like you said, context. Like in that context I should be mad at him. So yeah, I think it would help bring kind of in that balance, because like I think that my emotions are a little imbalanced too. Like I either feel super numb or I feel super sad, and I don't really ever get to be really happy. So I think if I were to slow down and like keep my emotions in balance too, and allow for sadness and happiness, like the craziness, it wouldn't be that imbalance of emotions that lead me to feeling crazy.
So in general, you feel like you kind of bounce between spectrums, or you feel like that during times of imbalance?
Probably more so in times of imbalance,
Okay.
but I do think that like in general I tend to be more extreme. And I think that's like people would comment about that like in my own life shit might be hitting the fan, but I could turn to you and I could be on the other extreme and like try to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that's imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like I'm fooling myself when I think that like that's just who I am, because I don't think I don't that doesn't seem like a very happy person to me.
Uh-huh.
So I think that I have told myself that before, like, oh, that's just who I am. Like, I can handle my own stuff and I can take care of you at the same time. And it's like, after this most recent breakup, like, I'm so exhausted. Like, I don't think I can continue being this way anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I don't really even know myself because it's so extremes.
Right. Right. So you talk about things that are really good characteristics of you, um, things that about the fact that you're caring, that you really care for people, that you enjoy celebrating life, celebrating people's wins, enjoying time with family, and also caring for your family. All of that involves a lot of emotion. All of that requires you to go through those emotions. And so, related to that, you talk about wanting to be able to slow down or to pause without crazy in the room. Do you think it would be possible for you to take those moments to acknowledge your even less, maybe less impactful emotions and slow down in those moments to just experience them? The reason I bring that up is if you can practice those in those moments, maybe it would help you when crazy enters the room be able to go into automatic slow down mode.
Yeah, I think I know there are things that I do that I enjoy. So like when I'm at the beach, or like when I'm listening to music, like I'm able to kind of slow down in those moments. And I think that like there are things that like make me happy or like make me grateful or like, make me smile. So I think, trying to remember those things are helpful. And I think they also like distract me a little bit from what's going on with the whole breakup. So like, yeah, I think I can think of some things that like bring up positive emotions, or at least any emotions. Like, because I think right now I'm so used to feeling sad and negative that like when I have those moments that are different, I think that it would be important to pay attention to them. Because I think they feel really rare. So like maybe I need to remind myself or like allow myself to make them not as rare.
So you already use strategies. You already have your own ideas of what can slow you down, what can bring you peace, what can help you be in that moment of experiencing your emotion, whatever that is, good or bad. So what I'd like you to do, maybe if you're up to it, in the next week, try to be reflective about the way that you're feeling when you're feeling it. So in general, I mean, it's not like we have to feel something every moment of every day or acknowledge our feelings every moment of every day. But when there's a change, when you're feeling anxious and you're like, hold on, I'm kind of feeling anxious. Take that moment and explore why. Explore why and just be in that moment, because emotions pass. To go through emotion, you have to sit with emotion. And so, is that something you think you could probably work with this week?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then maybe we could talk about what that was like in our next session. And think about how that, don't just pick bad emotions. Try to pick the good ones too. And just write it down if you want, or just note it in your brain. And we'll talk about that, how that worked out, and how that helped you with your balance or didn't. For that matter.
I think I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
See ya. Oh, man. This better have